to the Web3 Prof Podcast.
All right, good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Web3 Prof Podcast. I'm here with Tangle, who is one of the main contributors and organizers for DCTRL and ETH Vancouver, and also founder of Deploy Hub. Tangle, thanks for being with me here today.
Hey, thank you, Jared. Pleasure to be here.
It's we'll get into DCTRL in a little bit, but first, before we get into that, I want to hear a little bit about your history. How did you get into crypto or Web3 or blockchain or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, just a pretty basic, normal way.
Is there such a thing, right?
Basically, I started hearing about it through Reddit in the early days, 2013. I guess not early, but early for some.
I mean, that's pretty early.
So I've heard about this Bitcoin thing. And what is this? And I'm watching it go. When I first heard about it, it was like $300 or something, and it was running up to $600. And the girl I was dating at the time, she was telling me, "Oh yeah, I bought one of these. I bought half of one for $30 or something." I was like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" So I started digging deeper, further and further. Well, the whole rabbit hole starts. You fall down that and figure it out pretty quick. And at the time, I was trying to find places to actually buy Bitcoin. Be like, I wanted to buy something significant. And yeah, it was just like such a problem, and people wanted to, like, it was either online. I couldn't find good places in Canada at the time. And I mean, it wasn't like there was resources everywhere. It wasn't like, Twitter and YouTube and everything where, oh, do this, do that. Like you didn't have those kind of like resources back then. Plus, if I was trying to find somebody peer-to-peer, which is ultimately wanted to do like cash deals, everybody's like wanting 20% spreads on stuff. Right. This is ridiculous. So I chose the very simple route of just buying a bunch of mining gear and going after it with a bunch of GPUs and whatnot. So that put me over into the Litecoin realm because it wasn't profitable to mine Bitcoin at that time, but Litecoin was still profitable. And then, of course, in December of 23, Dogecoin showed up, and of course, Reddit, the memes, all of that stuff. My brother and I were always like huge fans of the Doge at that point. So I was like, we got to do it. So I started mining Dogecoin quite a bit as well.
What year was that?
So that's 2013. Yeah.
2013, you're mining Doge.
Yeah. Basically like shortly after it came out.
Interesting. But you were mining, you never mined Bitcoin, just Litecoin.
Yeah, because it was all script stuff with the GPUs at that time.
Okay, interesting. And what was it about this financial mechanism that was interesting to you? Was it the censorship, the fact that it's censorship resistant? Was it the decentralization? What was kind of the philosophy behind you getting into it?
Yeah, all of those things actually, like the ability that I don't have to, like I can transact with anyone wherever I want. Peer-to-peer. I'd been, looking to do some, like I remember just shortly before this, like having to send off some, e-transfers to, it wasn't even, it was like wires to, I was going on a trip in Bali, and I was like, this is like ridiculous. Like it's going to cost me, $50 or whatever just to like send this, and it's going to take, X amount of business days. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, but, seeing these, these solutions where we can have, it's sent immediately, relatively quick at that time with Bitcoin, 10 minutes, it could be there. You can send it anywhere. The whole permissionless decentralized thing where there isn't like, any kind of, real dictators behind it. And it just slowly started to make sense, and understanding it's like more of like a digital gold kind of thing. And then kind of clicked. And then with Dogecoin, it was just like this fun thing that you could just get a whole bunch of and like share it with your friends and send it. It was way cheaper to like not only get, but to also send. I was like, this is so much fun, being able to, like, I gave my brother 25,000 Dogecoin for Christmas that year. He still has them to this day.
Really?
Yeah.
25,000 Doge is at like 70 cents or something?
That was at its peak. Right now, I think it's like 9 cents or something.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
US. I always talk in US dollars. Yeah. That's where everybody is. But,
well, that was nice of you.
Yeah, it was a good little...
Your brother appreciates that. So tell us about DCTRL. What is DCTRL and what's your involvement?
Yeah, DCTRL has been kind of an open source, decentralized community here in Vancouver that was founded by Cam G in 2014. And it's just been kind of this like really interesting place that people can come together collectively and discuss ideas around, open source tech, permissionlessness, decentralization, and just like a lot of it has then, of course, brought, it was, kind of based around the open source ideas around Bitcoin, which now, is translated into so many different things around crypto and whatnot. So it's really been a great place for people that are crypto minded to be able to come and kind of be around with like-minded people.
So this kind of community hub here in Vancouver, I think has been quite important because Vancouver has historically had a pretty big stake in the game when it comes to crypto, as far as the world's first Bitcoin ATM being here in Vancouver was a pretty big deal, and has really allowed the community to grow as we've developed some of these technologies. Have you seen over the last few years, especially moving through the pandemic, that these conversations around crypto are still vibrant and are growing, or have you seen kind of a pause as we've seen the bear market take over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think we're still, I was actually quite surprised to see how much interest there still was during the bear market, which was really surprising to me, but I was very happy to see this. So I still think there's a lot of vibrance going on with it. There's a lot of people building in Vancouver as well. Plus we've got a number of companies here, that are actually, building. I don't know, you've had several people on here that are from different places. Yes. It's really beautiful to see how much is here. So yeah, there's a ton of conversations going on. There's a lot of interest. I do feel there is a bit of fragmentation going on, though, because there's a lot of different groups popping up all over Vancouver. Mm-hmm. And I'd really like to see some cohesion with that. And that's one thing I'm trying to work towards in the new year as well, is just kind of, infiltrating all the groups, trying to be like, hey, how do we build something that's like a collective kind of, way for us to all kind of integrate with each other, or, at least be involved with one another and know about each other, right? Because, we've got a lot of events going on, and we just want to be able to, I know there's other things that are happening with other communities and that are just popping up out of nowhere. And it's like, hey, well, we should all know each other. We're all kind of under the same roof here, I like to think. Yeah,
there definitely is kind of this siloed system that we have in this world of crypto where, if you're into Solana, you don't talk about Ethereum, or maybe even know anything about Ethereum or whatever. And because I spend a lot of time in Solana, I look at this and think, well, Solana's doing really well right now, which kind of feels good because everybody in Ethereum used to make fun of us, and now we're having our march forward together, right? But there needs to be a unity to kind of expand the vision of decentralization and permissionless technology and open source and things like that. And that's what something like Decontrol is so great for.
Well, that's what I see too. It's like this can be this great hub, like a physical space, which there's not very many of in the world. We're very fortunate with what we have, and the amount of I guess just relics and kind of history that has been baked into that place. So we're very fortunate to have this space as kind of like a physical hub, and I would really like to see as many different um be able to come in and be a part of it, access it, and it doesn't always have to be the place where you host an event or something, because there's there's a lot of different venues that are far more applicable to.
So what happens at Decontrol? Are there people right now working on their laptops building stuff, or is it only for special events? Or tell us about why do people go there?
Yeah, so it's a wide variety. Generally, there hasn't been too many people there during the day right now, but there are people that will just go down randomly and go work on stuff if they want. It's been a lot more focused around events and things, so people are usually there in the evenings just because they're working and whatnot. We want to be able to have it as a place where anybody can come, basically 24/7, and be able to do what they want, work on projects, collaborate with others, help out at the space with certain, we've got a lot of interesting things going on there, which we can get into. But overall, it's like I say, primarily around events right now. But want to be able to see it grow into.
Tell me about these interesting things. What are these interesting things? I want to go into that.
Yeah. So I guess there's a few, we just like to call them resources. That's kind of how they were labeled when I got there, and it kind of makes sense. But basically, we've got, to start, we have the door as a resource. We also have the sidewalk. We have the Beepi, or the old Pepsi machine, we like to call it. We have a coil vending machine, and we have an onboarder. So with that, the door, for example, that is set up right now to work with Discord. So if you have a certain token in your wallet that's connected to guild.xyz, I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. Collabland?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically same thing. Just Guild allows us to be far more comprehensive with what we want to, what you want to express, what kind of, action you're looking for from someone's wallet. So, for example, I give out a POAP every quarter that says you've met me. And so I've been using this as kind of the test route for now. So anybody that has my PO app will be able to basically connect their wallet through Guild in the Decontrol Discord server. And if you have that PO app, you now have access to it'll unlock a channel for you that's called door entry. And you go in and you emoji react to the bottom button, and the door will unlock.
I see. Okay. That's kind of interesting. Is this something that you developed?
There was always kind of this, there was like a door system that had been working with a key fob all the time. So we always had that system working. So additionally, which is not as exciting, where you can just tap your key fob and open the door. So that was already in place. And I got thinking like, well, how else can we kind of modify this? And I thought, geez, it'd be super cool because I've been, using so many different Discord tools throughout helping communities do, all of their infrastructure and tools and all this kind of stuff. I thought there's got to be a way we can do it with Discord. So I was looking at so many different options and trying to figure it out how to do it with no code stuff. And finally, I just had one of the developers just bang away quickly. And he was just like, all right, this is how it'll work. You put the bots in through Discord and everything. And yeah, it turned into an emoji react button, which was pretty straightforward and easy. And yeah, it works great.
Okay. Well, what's Sidewalk?
So the Sidewalk outside on the street, all over Vancouver, they used to have, and a lot of them are getting destroyed now, or because they're just structurally, they're just kind of, the structural integrity of them is kind of kaput. But there's a lot of these, you'll see these like glass kind of, like little glass squares that are all over the sidewalk. You probably see a lot of these. So there's one out in front of our space. We have access to it underneath in the basement at Decontrol. So years ago, some people put up a bunch of lights all across underneath them, and that is hooked up to a Raspberry Pi, which runs, I don't know, light candy or some kind of, I can't remember what it is, but people now can change these lights to either be different patterns, different rhythms, or what's the most interesting is to be actually just spell out a message. So we've got it set up so that you can type a message on, like you can just go onto the local network within Decontrol, and you can type a message and that can be broadcasted there. We've also got it set up.
But you can see it from outside the building on the sidewalk?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can see it from the sidewalk. And then additionally, we thought, well, this would be super cool if like people could do this anywhere in the world. So now we've got it set up so that we've got a live stream. It's currently kind of a little bit janky because it resets every hour. So it may not be working when you go there, but if you go to yvrsidewalk.com, there's a live stream that may or may not be working right now. We're going to work on that. A lot of this volunteer effort is kind of a little bit tricky, but if you go to that website, you'll see the sidewalk from a live stream camera, and we have a place where you can type in your message and then donate one Matic to Decontrol, and it will change the sidewalk and say whatever you want it to say.
Yeah.
And then we've got a history behind it, so you can show like what wallet address has donated to give you the history on it. And it'll stay up there until somebody else changes it.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Fascinating. Okay. So that's the second one. We got 3 more to go.
Yeah. So then the Beepi Machine, that was what, we call it the Beepi Machine because it was the bit Pepsi. So then Beepi and whatnot. And that was designed with Bitcoin back in the early days. So this is where the space was kind of helped to be funded and by donations done through people buying beverages through this machine, which was being used where people were using Bitcoin. Now we've got it set up to work with. We've got it currently working on Matic, so people can now access the Beepi Machine by going to, you can go to yvrbepsi.com, BEPSI. And from there you can just it's just a very basic UI right now. We're working on a few things, but you can just pick the color of bubbly, because we have bubblies inside of it right now. You just pick the color that you want, donate through whatever pay through Matic. I think we've got USDC, USDT, and DAI on there, all on the Polygon chain. Pick one of those, sign with your wallet, and 10 seconds later, or once that transaction's confirmed, out kicks a bubbly.
And this is a fundraising mechanism for the space.
Essentially, yeah. So
so you have some type of war chest, I guess, of crypto that you've collected over the last 10 years, effectively. Is this how you fund because rent is not cheap in Vancouver? Yeah,
it's not. We're very fortunate with where we are. There has been a bit of a war chest that has kind of built up over the years through Bitcoin and whatnot. Additionally, we've been starting to work on grants one that recently we got 4.2 ETH from Public Nouns, one of the forks of Nouns DAO. So we ended up getting this ETH to kind of help build out like our live stream situation. That was really what I wanted to focus around, because it's mostly designed for public goods. And I mean, as far as I can see, like Decontrol is an amazing public good for not for all of Vancouver, but hey, how do we make this further into the world?
Right.
And we're having all of these like amazing talks and stuff. So let's get these live streamed. So we ended up getting a computer, getting all the right cameras and stuff, and being able to like at least cover that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We still have a bit of ETH left, so that's great. We can work on some other resources and things. So we're kind of looking at that avenue as well.
Is the value of the war chest public?
I think everything's on chain, so
Right.
it is there. But we've got obviously like on Bitcoin, I don't know the address right now, but it is there. With the Ethereum side of things and EVM side, we've got decontrol.eth. That's the easy wallet, and then we're trying to move things over to safe.decontrol.eth. But I need to redo that multi-sig so that we can get addresses across the same address across all of the networks.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Okay, so that's the third.
Yeah.
What's
then
the
there's
fourth?
the coil machine is, that's basically one of these vending machines. So we've got all the back end built for it. We just need to build a front end so we could put all kinds of little candies and snacks and treats.
You could pay with crypto.
Exactly, same thing. So ultimately, with any of this stuff, I'd like to be able to see it on any of these networks that we're using. Like obviously Polygon's been super cheap and easy to build with, Optimism, Arbitrum, we're talking with a few people about getting Solana on there, like whatever. Like to me, like Solana's the cheapest and fastest, I would say. So I'm very interested to see how well that would work. And if other people wanted to do, like, I'd love to see Dogecoin on there. We've got some people working on Lightning Network stuff from Bitcoin within the space. We actually have there's a sixth thing. There's a little a Skittles candy machine. And you can pay with Lightning to dispense a few Skittles.
Oh, really?
That's another thing in there. So we're like very open to like making, whoever's just willing to put in
Basically,
the time.
you just want to sell junk food. That's what it comes down to.
Well, it's the easiest onboarding, I think, for
It's
people.
the most un-Vancouver thing I've ever heard of before.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the fifth or sixth?
The fifth thing, fifth thing being like, let's call it the Skittles Lightning Network dispenser.
Yeah.
And then with the final thing is we have like an onboarder. So a friend of mine had an old ATM back in the day, and he was trying to get it working. He'd had it manufactured, I think, in Europe or something, had it shipped over and everything. This was like 2015, 2016. And he just never got software up and running for it, and it just kind of sat there for years. And finally I said, hey, you know what? I don't know what your plans are with this, but let's get it down to Decontrol, and we'll get somebody to finally, tackle it. And so we had somebody in February, started to like just chip away at it, look at like all the bill dispenser and the receiver and everything, get that all figured out, find old firmware that works for it, get everything plugged into it, build a front end, and we've got this thing set up. So now if people are interested in, hey, like they've got some cash and they would like to get some Matic, there's, we've got, right now we have Matic and Bitcoin on there, but we could have a variety of other things. But essentially just like a simple way for people to just, be able to put cash in, and it's just like, this donated crypto to be able to help people, onboard into crypto.
Yeah, that's amazing. Are there other cities that you know of that have kind of a strange, unique place like this?
I don't know how many cities are like this that have a place like this, but yeah, I think like I've heard of some stuff in New York. I've heard of some stuff in Berlin. I don't know that many that are like this old. Like this might be like the longest running kind of crypto hacker space in the world. Definitely North America, I would say.
Right.
But, there might be some contenders maybe in Berlin or something.
Well, let's hope some people listen to this podcast are like, no. We could have a debate. Yeah. That's fascinating. It's interesting to hear about and learn about a little bit of history and how things went. As far as, bringing builders together and how important that is. Because with one thing that we know is that when people feel isolated, they feel like their projects aren't moving forward or that the industry isn't moving forward, they get disenfranchised and leave. And when we see people come together and get excited and meet other people that are building other things, even competitors, maybe on different chains, we see that people do kind of get this this drive to rise above the issues, to build through the bear market, to maybe find friends to build with and come up with cool ideas to solve real world problems that we can leverage blockchain to solve, which I think is pretty remarkable. So I applaud what you're doing, and that you've kind of jumped in on Decontrol to keep the momentum moving forward.
Yeah, thank you. No, I 100% agree with all that. And coming from myself, where I didn't really grow up around, or wasn't always in places where I had physical people. Right. Who knew this?
Yeah.
Like my close friends were just like, okay.
Yeah, you're from a rural part of the province.
Yeah,
you're not from
not
the
from,
big city.
No, and that was like a big struggle for me. Like I just didn't have a community. Sure, there's online stuff. You could talk to people on Telegram and whatnot at the time. Now Discord's a great place to go to. Twitter's blowing up, but there's something to be said about in person, like real world. IRL, as people like to call it,
right.
Meetings and meaningfulness. So.
Yeah. Are you related to Roberto Luongo? You sure look like him.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Has anyone ever said that to you before?
No, a lot of people have. Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to put a picture of Roberto Luongo on the screen so people can see
the
stunning resemblance between you and our former glorious goalie.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the future of Decontrol?
Future, we're planning as of hopefully February 1st. I would like to be able to roll this out, but looking to build like a donatable or a donation-based membership through NFTs and whatnot. Probably doing that on a really cheap EVM chain. Obviously, I'd love to see this go anywhere and everywhere. But utilizing some really interesting technology behind it. Originally, I just thought about it as like kind of an expiring NFT, essentially, kind of like an ENS, if you're familiar with those. And, I was like, well, we could probably bake in this other, like, I don't know if you're familiar with like the EIP 6551, like the token bound.
Yes, this was created by Benny.
Yeah, from the whole Future Primitive crew.
Yes, Benny just was on the podcast. He'll be released around the same time this comes out.
Amazing, cool, yeah, absolutely. And again, just like so many builders that are here that like, it's incredible to see. So I started talking about, threw this out to one of the developers. And I don't know, like maybe we can do some stuff with here. Like we can add, kind of badges or rewards or other things into it. And let's take a look at it. So he came back with this whole he's like, well, yes, we can totally use this. And here's how it's all going to work. And it blew my mind because now we can set it up, which is like if you wanted to take custody of your NFT, which most people would, right? I want my NFT in my wallet. And we want to make it soul bound though, so you can't just share it with other people. So it's soul bound to you. However, because it's like issued from a 6551 deployer, that is we can set it up as a multi-sig so that the multi-sig can actually have it set up so that it can actually move it. So let's say you were to do a wallet migration or your wallet got hacked or something like that. We could still move it from a multi-sig. Yeah. Additionally, if someone's not Web3 ready, they could just make an account, essentially, mints the NFT, the multi-sig will hold that NFT, and then when they are Web3 ready, we can send it over to them.
And make an account, you mean like they can just create a username and password?
Exactly. Username, password, use an email, whatever they want, So there's like a lot of interesting kind of ideas around this that I really didn't think about, and then tying this all to like someone's fob so that you can actually use a fob to, access the door. So the whole point of the NFT is that, now this is tied in so that you have access to the door, and that lets you into the building, essentially. Yeah. Much the same as I was talking about with the PO app, same concept. But that'll also be tied to your fob and whatnot. And like in the past, we kind of had like a system where we had like a vouching system. So if you had 3 vouchers, if, 3 people within the space that were, regulars vouched for you, we would give you a physical key because it's kind of a 2-lock system. So that way we kind of, if anybody can, they're open and available to like mint this NFT essentially. So if they've got a fob, they can tap to get in. And if the door is unlocked and because there's somebody else that's there that is a key holder, then they can be there. And then if the key holder needs to leave, then okay, it's time to go type thing. Yeah. But this way here, we start building kind of a trusted network essentially of people who can, not only just be there when somebody else is there, but to actually be there whenever they want. And we kind of build this trust system within the community.
I love this. That sounds so fascinating. I think it's such an important part of building an active community. And I think it's also super cool to be able to do like soulbound tokens and to leverage an NFT in a format that is useful and that adds utility, because this is always the big struggle. Well, what is the purpose of all of this, right? And we need to solve real world problems, and this is an interesting way to solve a problem of access, which is super cool.
Yeah, I think so. I think this brings in all, like you just said here, the utility behind things, and just how we can make this, like, use this technology for real world stuff, because everybody just sees it as some monkey picture, and they're just like, they don't really care. Where with this system, like, we can also set it up to do a variety of other things that we've all been doing in Web3. Because like we go and do, okay, like we understand DeFi and we understand, how DAOs work, and we're voting here and we're voting there. Like, why aren't we doing this kind of stuff in real world communities? It's no different, right? Like an IRL DAO, like we really have it here. And that's what kind of gets me excited with all the past history I've had from, all of the DAOs and DeFi projects that I've worked with, like be able to see this come to fruition in real life. Like, it really gets interesting. So rather than holding an AGM meeting quarterly or every 2 years or once every year, we can just say, hey, here's an idea, here's a proposal. We can just vote on it. And those who are actual members, we can actually say, hey, someone's a member because they've got a valid membership. Hey, let's, now we could just vote on something on Snapshot, and we actually have record of it, and we don't have to just have it in some Google sheet and who put their hand up type thing. So
is there a movement to create a DAO for Decontrol?
I don't know if we need a DAO per se right now. I mean, essentially there would be, this NFT membership. That's what it can just be. Yeah. And, that would give you eligibility for that. So essentially, I guess it could be kind of a DAO. I don't know that it needs to be structured as that right now. I mean, I'm always open to, and I mean, if the community wants to make it a DAO, we can totally do that. But for now, this is just like kind of an interesting way to get things up and running, to bootstrap it. And ultimately, it's like, well, let's get input from the community. What do people actually want? Because it's not just up to myself or, a couple other people. Like, what is consensus? And this is where I'm trying to like help facilitate the tools to empower the whole community.
Yeah.
So let's see what comes from there.
I love that. Tangle, this has been super interesting. I love learning about, what we've had here in Vancouver, what's going on at Decontrol. I hope that this continues to move forward. To be able to talk to the curator of such an awesome space, the godfather of the secondary godfather of this space. I've got all kinds of interesting names for you here today.
Thank you.
It's great to learn, and I'm excited to hear that you guys are moving forward and doing other cool stuff. I hope that you continue to be able to get great events and great speakers at events, and to continue to unite the community here in Vancouver. I've really enjoyed having you on the podcast. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, you betcha. Thank you.